All the portion didn't know where to go. Cross the street with my dog, yeah, the woe. Being me made it harder to grow. Still went up, got my feet off the floor. Gun on one, I been waving, but I always been playing it low. Getting that work on the daily. Got that Emma went crazy. Then I went my mama out this shady. When I bought a Mercedes. Take a L, niggas thinking it's gravy. Niggas gotta be crazy. Popping out, they gon' see me in HD. Give a reason to hate me. When your bitch and her friend, that's a cool 3. I can give them 3 reasons to hate me. I care less that they talking for less. I pull off and then y'all like it, don't even faze me. I been turning my counting a lot, trying to make what I got stacked tall like Katie. Niggas talking about who calling the shot, bitch calling my phone, talking they want a baby. She get tragic, but he still make it happen. He's deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy. Hush money, I'm going crazy. These bitches, I'm going crazy. Missing millions, I'm going crazy. All these killers, I'm going crazy. Deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy. Deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy. Spinning on racks, go crazy. Make it right back, that's crazy. All these Benjamins, I'ma go crazy. And the damn my numbers look crazy. Deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy. Deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy. Is it true, boy, you reap what you sow? If it's fast, if you know, then you know. When I pray, got my knees on the floor. To the high, even when I feel low. By to die forever, I hope. Even when shit get crazy. Geeking up, by to start being sober. Living every day faded. Think I got me a dime, I don't bitch do whatever I tell her whenever I say it. Come to find out her piece never pussy and she giving to any player that's paying. I can dig it, but not for no main man. That's too slow, that little money won't faze me. Like you keep pulling folks out the ditch, they won't give you back shit and you know that it's crazy. My brother help me get that chip on my shoulder, he told me can't nobody save me. We done try, but we couldn't say the word, looking out for the girls and care of the babies. I done took some real losses and losses, I'm sticking it back, it ain't nothing you can say to me. You don't wanna just say what it was and you still tryna make this shit up and it's crazy. Hush money, I'm going crazy. These bitches, I'm going crazy. Missing millions, I'm going crazy. All these killers, I'm going crazy. Deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy. Deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy. Spinning on racks, go crazy. Make it right back, that's crazy. All these Benjamins, I'ma go crazy. And the damn my numbers look crazy. Deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy. Deeper than rapping, his life will get crazy.
Presidential rolling. Yeah, you know my name, and you best believe I told it. Glizzard be the name, and this bitch just said I'm goated. Ayy, I just bought it yesterday, but drive it like it's stolen. Ayy, that ain't enough money in your pocket if you can fold it. Big ass chain, it hurt my shoulders. $1,000 in my soda. Red Richard Coca-Cola. Ayy, when you really getting money, you ain't gotta show it. Big ass rocks on me like boulders. About my chips, not talking poker. Yeah, I turn on the sun. My diamonds fight, my neck and wrist having a one-on-one. And my little niggas messed up like they had a Comic-Con. Ayy, I rip that nick, I keep a stick, and I play with drums. Yeah, if you ain't made an M, you better get you one. Ayy, when you run it up like this, that's when them bitches come. Ayy, when you run it up like this, you better flip it too. Ayy, I sip codeine, but I'll pop you like a jigaboo. I'm Mr. Glock, my money talk, and my pistol too. Say hello to my little friend, I'll introduce you. Pull a trigger, let it sing, yeah, just like Luther. Blue diamonds in my pinky ring look like a ruble. Yeah, presidential rolling. Yeah, you know my name, and you best believe I told it. Glizzard be the name, and this bitch just said I'm goated. Ayy, I just bought it yesterday, but drive it like it's stolen. Ayy, that ain't enough money in your pocket if you can fold it. Shout out Glizzard, that's my brody. Ain't no game, bitch, I'm loaded. Got DGs on me like Doja. Ayy, she say I'm that nigga, but I already know it. Get cash money with my waters. Diamonds dancing just like Doja. Cat. Yeah.
AMG, always maintain greatness. If we stop, who the fuck else gonna keep it going? Get out. Freedom Bros, rest in peace to J Bands. Fuck is you talking about, nigga? Get out. Sparkle for King N. God, park the back to back when it's game time. Spin an SO, I think I spot J9. Oh, JJ, my brother, we spot him, we got him. You know we gon' click at the same time. No, I don't like at the Glock on my waist time. He tried to run, get up on him, don't waste time. We doing hits, we don't stop till the daytime. They know what happened if they try to play mine. We spin a burrow, we LOPT. He say it back at me, he be a PD. They know the duck, they talk us when they see me. I got a baddie and she getting Nikki. After 2 weeks, I pull up more. I'm like, Brody, yeah, we got it TD. Baddie, she kick it. After that, we gon' do 20K on the fucking repeat.
But first thing first, nigga, beef never dead. If it's up and it's stuck, then we leaving it there. I'm from the A, where's gritty, them youngers get busy, be pop up anyway. Oh, he think he cool cause he chill with the guys, but he not when the mom seen flock over there. He tried to spin through the piece, he almost got lucky, but it's funny how steppers appeared. He tried to run, but got headed it, and the other bullet almost went through his head. Dummy, no, you can't come over here. Long live King A for JD, I'm a fan like, hold on, see we're gonna shoot if he stare. Fully cooked, I'm like medium rare. I was rapping, but they never appear. Like what happened is 60 got put in the air. I lost a brother, so I don't really care. He ain't died by no op, just to make it clear. Like enough is enough with them capping them raps. Cause how many dash things in the air, like Gio, Banger, Money, Mitch. Talk of the rain, but the dumb nigga trip. And I know I after got hate with his bitch, he got tagged in his foot, so he walk with his limp. GLA speeding, bugger down the strip, so bro gotta chill, got a cup full of tris. Knock on my lap, we ain't stopping for shit, cause I'll go back to jail, that's the end of this shit. But bro, never worry, that nigga legit, cause everything we do is calculated risk.
Real road front, I front up the racks, I'm getting that money and speed. They want 100, now I'm like, what? No cap, discipline, J Paddock Philippe. I spent 50, my jeweler bust down, game had to bust down big UCs. I come from nothing, bitch, I'm getting money, I'm slime, I'm signing the streets. Give her a dub, baby, I'm one of a kind, do your hair, your nails and feet. Hold on, she bust, her neck flooded, I'm out to buy her a brand new piece. I had to get it like my mom dug it, I had to get up and get on my feet. I'ma keep going, cause my vibe die right now, who won't give money to feed? Walking a dealer like I want this, I want some shit, I could go top speed. I want some shit that's me and my bitch, throw my chin with a big AP. Shit to the top like my we lit, they on me gone cause you know I'm a beast. I'ma keep getting money, keep stacking the chips, yeah, feet running up on a slow nigga piece. She want a Birkin, she off a brick, kick rocks, I'm a sad little bitch of the street. Throw my mama 100, my sister 100, I got a whole nother family to feed. I was just out robbing, now I'm getting money, I ain't think about being rich overseas. Cartier bust down, two-tone flood, you ain't gotta be rich, so we'll bag you a piece. Rockstar baby, I'm living a dream, leave a whole lot of blood on the scene. I'm a hyena, that's fuck you mean. I'm a vulture, I'm flying with wings. Bitch, I'm a star, he ain't see what I seen. He ain't need 30s, nigga a fiend. Bro off the walk, in and out his dream. Chopper go grab, nigga lean.
Good morning, family. Drop a one to try if you guys could hear me. You guys could hear me okay. Hear me alright.
In a world,
Alright.
is certain. Only music can help you to find the right way.
Okay. Amazing, family. Good morning. How you guys feeling?
The next stop is on the radar radio.
Stand clear of the closing doors, please.
Everybody feeling good today? Blessed and highly favored. Anybody get into these gold buys? Right, caught out gold buys basically from that test area yesterday. Yeah, buddy. So definitely was a good day in terms of just overall market direction for sure. I would say when it comes to where are my sessions? Okay. Just when it comes to the overall bounce that we've gotten so far, for those of you that are obviously a little bit more experienced, I guess, or have just experienced more news events, we obviously have had news today for virtually like every currency, right? I would say CAD is probably the only currency, major currency that we didn't have news for. So we had German flash services at 3. We had like I guess for the euro, and then we had GBP flash services at 4:30, and then we had USD flash services at 9:45. So at 9:45, we actually did have some news. Just immediately looking at gold, I would still anticipate us to continue higher, but I would anticipate a little bit of a fill. What we could see fill is either this insufficiency and we continue higher, but what we could potentially see filling a little bit later, not necessarily now, would be this. To me, we left some equal lows in London session, so we might come and snag those up before continuing higher, which would kind of make a little bit of sense. But to me, I really would want to expect a continuation to the upside higher overall. So I'm not really looking for shorts. I wouldn't really be shorting per se right now. Just especially with even how this candle opened right at 10 o'clock. To me, we tapped in right into these equal highs leading into the news, and we kind of started to reverse, where I'm initially looking to take my first little bit of profits when it comes down to the buys would be up in this area. To me, just even with how the hourly candle opened, notice how we pushed straight down and we actually filled a little bit of this hourly insufficiency. So we might really just tap this 1 hour IPA and then get a continuation towards the upside. And if that's the case, right? Did you give that on the overview? Because if so, damn, I need to stop lagging. I actually I didn't give that on the overview just because it kind of developed a little bit afterwards. But realistically, when it comes down to just what we were looking for initially, right? Like if you guys, sorry, I'm just trying to pull up this picture. Yeah, but basically when it comes down to sorry, I'm trying to find this picture. But basically, when it came down to the overall overview of this, if we go down to the 15-minute, really what I was looking at personally, right, when it came down to just overall what we were looking for in terms of push to the upside. So initially, right, leading into just the end of this market close, one thing that really stood out to me was just one thing about catching these moves at certain times is that you're probably going to catch like the move that you least expect. For example, it's like you might not have expected gold to fly so much without coming back today, this morning, but it's like if you kind of put together like the higher time frame overall analysis with just what you were looking for on the smaller time frames, that's kind of how you get that correlation, right? But overall, when it comes down to accumulation and wick off, right, if this is not something that you're familiar with, then obviously that's the importance of education and mentorship. That's why it's important to be tapped in, just in an environment where you're going to be able to get access to understanding how to kind of deal with certain things like this. But actually, before family, give me literally a minute. I'm just gonna run downstairs real quick. I'm just gonna grab my coffee. I just pulled up, so I don't want to start going through this breakthrough without my coffee, family. So literally give me like 30 seconds. I'm gonna play something for you guys for like a minute, but ideally, boom. Oh yeah, I'm gonna play something that I actually clipped for you guys. It's a 48-second clip, 36-second clip. I'll be back. 36 seconds.
Learn to read, learn to write, learn to speak, learn to think. Man, you'll be deadly. What you could bring to the table that hasn't been brought to the table for years is an emphasis on individual responsibility. And the right way to do that, as far as I'm concerned, is to start with yourselves, is develop a vision for your life. You start to think about, if you could be who you could be, what would that look like? That's the beginning of a mature philosophy of being. If you could be the person that you would admire yourself with the great works of the past, learn to read, learn to write, learn to speak, learn to think. Man, you'll be deadly.
Boom, I'm back. Fastest kid in the world. Holy. Whew. 2 flights of stairs. 2 flights of stairs, and we back. Whew. Okay. My apologies. I needed that cinnamon caramel. I'd imagine that's crumble. That's what it stands for. Right. With no vanilla syrup. But get this. You switch the vanilla syrup for toffee syrup. Toffee. Okay? And then no dairy. Your non-dairy cream or whatever beverage of choice, right? But when it comes down to the overall breakdown of just what we were looking at, when it comes down to this wick off, okay? So when we sit here and we look at accumulation, right, the biggest thing I like to emphasize is like just the simplicity of how to train yourself to kind of see these particular things happening, especially when you're like a new trader, or just when you're not familiarized with overall market direction. Okay, so for those of you, how many of you guys kind of struggle with wick off? Drop a one in the chat if you guys kind of struggle a little bit with identifying these particular ranges, right? Because what I'm going to do right now is give you guys kind of like the cheat code to how to, like I said, simplify it for yourself when you first come in. And like I said, it's not going to be picture perfect every single time, but what it's going to allow you to do is definitely position yourself a little bit better when it comes to long-term moves, right? So the first thing that we like to look for typically, right, in terms of that first initial reaction, right, to identify our selling climax, typically what I like to do is I like to sit there and I need to see like a little break of structure either on the 5-minute or the 15-minute, right? So what I'll look for is a 5-minute, 15-minute break of structure, right? So what that just means to me is I'm looking for a 5-minute or 15-minute previous lower high to just get closed above. And once we close above, right, which if we look in this particular area where we can see the accumulation starts is right at the end of New York, right? So we actually closed above. If we sit here, and even if we didn't, like let's say for example it closed slightly below, to me that push to the upside would have been sufficient enough, because I'm sure a 5-minute time frame would have broke. Or like I said, 5-minute, 15-minute, either or is fine. 15-minute is obviously going to be your cleanest one, right? So to me, initially, what I'm identifying now this area as is our selling climax. Okay? So that selling climax in phase A. Okay, and notice how in terms of how it looks in the diagram or whatever you want to call this, it's not always going to look picture perfect like this on the charts, but there's going to be consistencies with just like overall what you're going to want to see, right? So you can see that initially after that selling climax, we get a little pop up, it retraces, and then takes the high. Notice we pop up, retraces, then makes a new high, right? So that in itself already look clean. But what would really validate this, right, would be us actually coming and closing below this selling climax, which notice we literally do that, immediately follow it, right? So now what this would be, ideally would be our secondary test in phase B. To me, once we get that push down below that selling climax, that's when you know you're ready to start looking again. Like phase A is literally identified with that initial break, and what you want to do is you want to see it close below, right? Because a lot of you guys would see a break of structure and maybe play the break of structure, and then you'll get clapped on the secondary test, right, on that break of structure. Then price might break structure again, then it comes back down in phase C, then you get clapped again because you thought that it was just break of structure, when in reality it was on the 15-minute. But it's like you have to understand how to validate breaks of structure on multiple time frames to make it consistent with one another, and also how to identify breaks of structure that happen within these phases, right? So the secondary test, initially what I just wanted to see was another little push up, right? Which what we got, right? And I actually wanted to short this. I actually was mad at myself that I didn't short. But once we got that close all the way down below, right? Ideally in my eyes, is soon, like how you identify the spring is obviously once we take that secondary test, it's, you know, anything could really be the spring below. But how you really get that identification to me is going to be on the smaller time frame. You're going to look and you're going to want to see ideally just either an engulfing candle, or in terms of just the overall direction of the move. You just want to pay attention to just what happens in terms of how we took this high. Like to me, what you would have wanted to see to validate that this was valid accumulation is, to me, you would have wanted to see all of these previous highs get taken, right? In terms of that initial spring. The reason for that is because once we take that high, you might feel as though you missed a trade. But if you understand how we need to come back and test, we come back and test that secondary test in phase B, right? And notice where we came back down and we tested. We came back and we just barely missed this, like tapping it, because it's not always going to hit it. Like I said, picture perfect every time. Like you're going to be a pip or two off, but it's like the accuracy is still insane, because it's like just being able to narrow it down. It's a 1 pip. It literally was 1 pip away from hitting it. But just being able to sit there and identify, okay, we have this secondary test in phase B right here, but what do we have that aligns with this secondary test that makes sense for us to come back and fill? Well, we have this 15-minute insufficiency. Okay, so us coming back now and we fill this 15-minute insufficiency here with our secondary test, to me, it's like once we initially close above, and like I said, anything that comes back down and taps here, like you should really, in order to validate this accumulation in terms of understanding if whether or not it's going to go to the upside, it's like you would know that price literally shouldn't come lower than this area. Like if it came lower than this area, it would be like a couple pips and it would be for a split second and it would off it. Like it would have probably came into this little area and then gone. But it's like, you know that if this is a valid spring, it's not like that's going to be the lowest point. So it's like even after we take this initial low, it's like I was sitting there and I was like, damn, this could be that potential spring. Once we got this, started to get multiple candle closes, right? Drop in the chat, how many candles do we normally look for in a row to confirm that institutional move, right? For those of you that hop on the calls frequently, it's like you guys know what we really typically look for when it comes down to these institutional moves, right? Yeah, 3 to 8, 3 to 7, right? So you guys already know what we look for when it comes down to these entries. And even right now, gold, it's like we're gonna really see whether or not this long sticks, because overall it's like we didn't close above the structure of just really anything from, this is what, Wednesday. So it's like if we engulf right now in the hourly, if we close bearish, we could potentially see a sell off, right? And it's like, to me, if we sell off, we could fill this insufficiency and go, right? Or we could really just continue to fill a little bit lower to the downside, maybe hit this lower gap, right? IPA. Because to me, at this point, really how low we come down to, right? Who really knows how low we really come back down to? But in my eyes, I would just anticipate, ideally, a reaction out of either this area. To me, this area kind of makes a little bit of sense. Because if we look at the bottom of this candle, there's no wick on the bottom. So I would kind of chalk it down actually to, I like this area because this is actually right before the news. Or not right before the news, but right before 8:30. So I would say for gold, we could potentially see just re-entry areas in here. DXY on the hourly, what I was looking at, filled a little bit of insufficiency in here. So to me, if we fill this IPA in gold, then gold is going to obviously drop. But I'm anticipating DXY to continue to fall from here. Hopefully. We'll see. Damn. That's what 30 just filled today? No fucking way. My TP finally hit then. Did anybody hold the shorts from Wednesday? Holy, Antoine pops out in the cut as soon as the indices come. What? Cousin, what's good, gang? Indices. Holy, broski's an indice fiend, huh? Holy moly. That is crazy. Right. Thursday. So from yesterday really the area that we were looking at, we actually came back and tapped the same area towards the ending of New York, because I know we caught like basically here when we TP'd, which if you didn't TP, I hope that you guys re-entered. But ideally, even with this potential like re-entry, just having us come back to the same area, if you had your stop above the high, right? And do you guys notice how this area that we had targeted, like this, do you notice how we just filled that shit perfectly? Like, this is news. Like I said, news is always the excuse to get us to these certain areas, but it's like we already know where the market's going, right? That was like a potential 1 to 15, right? If you held, it looks like indices right now on 15-minute wise, looks like US 30 actually just broke above on this 15-minute time frame. So immediately looks like we got this little juicy IPA right here on the 15-minute, right? I would look to potentially see that fill at the beginning of the next 30-minute candle, right? To me, 30-minute wise, we don't really have to come down. We already pushed down into the body of this candle, but I think based off the 15-minute, it still kind of makes sense to come back and fill, even with this engulfing candle. Like, it'll wick down real quick, impulsively. And to me, I would kind of have parameters, something like that. If we break this down even more, I would say we could chalk it down to this 3-minute area. Right, you could have your stop right below that low. You could have it like a little bit tighter too if you didn't want to play below the wick. But to me, having it relatively, like, stop loss area should really be anywhere in between, like here, just depending on how low we push. So obviously, if we push deeper in, you're gonna be able to get just a better entry. But to me, just parameters, something like this, would make sense. Overall, what I would be looking target wise, I'd be looking to target basically our entry from yesterday. Right, it looks like we left liquidity To me, we have some IPA in here. So this area to me got played off of a couple times, and it just looks like we left some money for us to come back and take on the upside. So ideally to this target would be about a 1 to 17, right? If we're able to get that tighter stop loss at about like 17 points, hopefully we could cut it down a little bit tighter. Nas looks like we came and filled nice too. So 15-minute wise for Nas, I would kind of be looking for the same thing. Like we could potentially come back down into this area, but overall, it's like I would say any push really back into this 15-minute candle would be sufficient enough. You get a tighter stop for sure than 30, right? Just play in this area, right? Could get it probably anywhere from like 10 to 15 points easily. To me, target for Nas would be here, looking at give or take around the same risk reward. To me, I feel like Nas would be one that we could break even sooner on, but we could also come potentially back down into this area down here as well. To me, like smaller time frame wise, it doesn't look like we quite have a break yet. Like 5-minute as well, it looks like potentially we could get that one last sweep below this low, and that would be like our spring in my eyes on the smaller time frame. But 15-minute wise, we definitely could go from here. So I would be definitely eyeing just a push down into this area right at the beginning of 10:30 for Nas, and 30 S&P in its own motherfucking world. S&P honestly looks like it's gonna go lower. Yeah, so S&P looks like there's a little bit of divergence. It definitely looks like we could go lower. At least buys are not as clean. So we'll take a look at that in a second. It looks like we're probably gonna pop up into here though. Okay, so ideally, like I said, for 30 and for Nas, we'd want to see us pop down. Nas looks like it's going up, which is cool, you know, but it would be cooler with us in there, I think, like, personally. And 30... Am I a noob? Like, we really could buy it here, but I don't know. I just feel like I'm such a noob if we do that. With this IPA right here. It's like, we don't really have to come down, but it's like, to me, being stingy, I want us to come down. See? The market hears me. Look at that. Being stingy goes a long way. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We might really just react out of this candle though. Like now looking at it, just based off of how we kind of engulfed. So we could realistically just see something like this. Right? But to me, I wouldn't play it until we actually come into the IPA, into the lower area. But I'm giving you guys just literally a precautionary, like, we could really just tap this candle and go. I really hope we do not though, because I'd be salty. 30 is normally good at filling though, and like I said, Nas still looks like it's gonna come a little bit lower. So regardless of it popping up, like Nas just kind of does its own thing too. Nas is kind of like 30, like I said, has been kind of cleaner, a little bit cleaner. Anton, are you in there for buys, or like what do you think for S&P? What do you like? I'm curious what you're looking at, since you're the S&P man. So lovely. If we could target this would be amazing. So US 30 coming into potential entry area right now. right? Boom, boom, boom. So 30 coming into our entry area right now. Like I was saying. Right, ideally, let's see how we bounce out of there. It looks like we're getting a little bit of reaction out of there. So to me, if you got in just really at the like lower end, you could really have your stop loss right below. At about 33734, so about like 15 points, give or take. To me, that would be safe. We could still come and fill like a little bit lower into the IPA, but I think for the most part, that would be the safest bet that we would have for potential entry area. Yeah, buys. Okay, yeah. So if you're long on S&P, because like I said, I can't really tell. But if you're long, then boom, that aligns with what we're looking for on NAS and US 30. So like I said, we're valid now for entries for US 30. Even if you miss it, to me, it's still good. Like I said, your stop loss would just be an extra couple points. NAS wasn't able to actually come down into our area. Gold is trickling right above our area as well. How do we close? Yeah, to me, what I would expect is literally for us to tap this and we would fly. Like, we would, if we don't, then we're going to drop at my ass. Like, it just wouldn't make any other sense. I know, need DXY to drop for real, though. Like, as long as DXY melts, oh my gosh, we'll be rich today, family. Gold is, or DXY is just coming up right now, just so gold can give you guys re-entries, so that we can melt. Like 4 hour wise. Damn, that's what that fucking candle looks like. Ah, okay, this candle looks a lot better. Okay, I'm gonna look at this one. That fucking that 4 hour looks way better on this broker, or at least way better for what I want. So call me biased, but this hourly point of interest, I was trying to figure out, I'm like, what the fuck was I looking at over there? But the hourly point of interest, to me, it makes sense. Overall, we kind of filled this insufficiency that we had here. It looks like we had no wick on the top of the body of this previous hourly candle. Is that true? Yeah, it looks kind of ugly over here too. So to me, it makes some sense. Like I said, if we could fill this, this would be perfect. This would be beautiful. No cap, right? No cap. But like I said, we could also potentially just fucking tank. So just be careful, because DXY, like I said, DXY, the only way gold flies up is if DXY drops. And as of right now, DXY looks like it could potentially drop, but I want it to drop. So it could also fly, you know? So US 30, what is this? The beginning of the new 5-minute open. Yeah, so 35, it punched right back down into this area, right? So this would be another opportunity potentially. I like how we wicked in there. First 5 minutes, got that bounce. This is the new 5-minute of that 30-minute candle, right? Second 5-minute open, candle open, and that 5-minute. Nas is still doing absolutely nothing. The indice opens were so live this whole week, no cap. Like 9:30 every single day this week was just like boop. Perfect. So Nas is starting to drop. Hopefully we can come back into this area in here, right? Just tap the body of this candle one more time before getting that continuation higher would be ideally what we are looking for and anticipating. S&P doing a whole lot of nothing too, right? So like I said, 30 kind of came back and gave like literally the same entry. If not, you would have been able to catch a little bit better of a re-entry, just based off of where we came down into again, which is always cool when price. It hit different when price come back and give you that re-entry. It hit different. But ideally, what we should see leading into the ending of this hourly, we should see this candle. In my eyes, this candle should probably print and close bullish. So we should more than likely engulf, or at least to me, that would make the most sense. I wouldn't really want to see us close bearish, just based off 30-minute. To me, I would really just anticipate to see a continuation higher. To me, just overall, the reason why I would want to see us push a little bit higher is because of the 4-hour insufficiency, right, that we came and filled. We filled, get rid of all that. We came into this institutional area, right? We had this imbalance right in here. We had liquidity generated all in here, equal lows. So to me, we just had multiple confirmations that we were kind of, like, we were targeting these lows virtually the whole week, right? We wanted to see us kind of break down into this area. So it was good to be able to see us finally do that. The only thing about it is that it was very fast and impulsive. So that wick, right, is the only thing that's kind of scaring me a little bit. But as long as the dollar do what the dollar's supposed to do, we should be okay. Like I said, if gold might really just be annoying and just come and like tickle the top of this little area and then go from here, which would be super annoying. If you guys want to go kind of back test a little bit too, XAU GBP. If you guys want to know how I knew gold was gonna fly before, really, this whole structure gave it away. I was sitting there and I'm like, I wanted to buy gold. I looked at GBP and GBP was like doing all of this. We were like down here doing this and I'm like, yeah, I'm in there for longs. Are you crazy? This little wick sucked up and then we continued to just staircase and walk right up. I'm like, yeah, that's gnarly, right? So I liked overall longs just on all the metals, even silver too, right? But silver looks like it actually came back and filled yesterday's price action a little bit cleaner, right? For those of you on right now, by the way, drop a like on the stream if you guys are enjoying so far. If you guys are taking any type of value away, if you guys are learning anything when it comes down to just the overall market schematic, right? If you're learning anything when it comes down to whack off. Like I said, just DXY is so ugly right now because of just all the brokers. I don't know what to believe, which one to believe, because one of them doesn't have a wick on the top of the 4-hour, and one of them does. This one does. This one, unfortunately for us, does not. So this, unfortunately, not having a wick is just, like I said, tickling my feathers the wrong way, because I just don't know. But even if there was no wick, it looks like we just kind of filled that right now. Yeah, DXY just doesn't know what it wants to do. Like I said, it looks like it wants to go up, but it also looks like it's just hesitating. It's like it doesn't quite know what it wants to do. So this is kind of interesting, actually, right? Because like I said, there's literally no more news for today. If we sit here and we kind of look at just, like I said, what took place, right? If we sit here and we look at the flash manufacturing, right? This is a good, like, if you're new to trading, right? forexfactory.com is where you're going to go for all your news or market related news that's really going to move the market. What I personally like to do, right, is go to filters, and I personally like to get rid of like the gray folders, and for the most part I'll get rid of the yellow folders, right? There's not really a lot of yellow folders that I really pay attention to for the most part. So for that, red folders, orange folders, really what I'm going to pay attention to for the most part. The occasional yellow folder will move price, but you just have to know what particular news is going to do, and experience will really help you with that. So if we really look at just the forecast for everything, right? The forecast versus the actual, right? So the forecast for virtually everything was higher, right? in comparison to the actuality of everything. And if we sit here and we click on the description, right, basically what it is going to do is it's going to tell you, right, like the measures, right, the level of diffusion index based on surveyed purchasing managers in the manufacturing industry. Okay, so literally it's going to give you the reason for the news. It's going to tell you just the impact that it could have on the market. So in terms of this, just understanding how the news is going to impact the dollar or just whatever currency you're trading against, sometimes the market is really going to set up prior to the news. And like I said, news is always the excuse. So it's like, for me, it's like news, for example, is the excuse to potentially come back down and give us this re-entry, right, because of the volatility. It's like, or even just get that reversal, right, and just have us actually continue towards the downside. So gold is pushing down into our area. 30 is still kind of lagging around here, which is cool. We don't really want to see that. Like, to me, I really wouldn't want to see us close here, but for it to kind of be hanging around still right now is not necessarily the worst thing. Okay, Nas is going up. Damn, Nas really head bust. It looked like Nas really looked like we were about to come back down and do that thingity thing, but yeet, are you guys blam? You guys blam, dog? Okay, so Goldie. The thing about gold right now is I would take low risk potential entries on this, just because, like I said, we could come lower, but to me, I like this IPA fill. To me, the candle is us being safe. We really might just tap this and punch up. So to me, if you're gonna take gold, really, I would kind of look to, like, if you enter off the open here, right, I would look to maybe have like a 10-15 point stop. Like I said, the only reason why I would say look lower is because there's no wick on this smaller time frame candle on this 5 minute. So ideally, if you play something like that, you could have maybe like a 15 to 17 point stop, right, being super conservative. And good first take profit area would just be that high, right, this first relative high. That would be a good first partial, because to me, once we make that higher high, we could potentially come back down. But overall, I would expect to see us just go higher. So what is this, 1045? We just open straight up. Alright, so ideally I would want to see us potentially wick down into this area. But just with how this candle opened, be mindful. That's why I'm saying take maybe a smaller risk, because we're opening good to actually continue lower. Just with no wick on the downside, to me, us pushing straight up. If we feel this insufficiency here, we could potentially just see us, like I say, go lower. So I say be conservative with the risk, because to me, I am anticipating us to continue higher, but I don't control the market. So I'm just giving you the reality of what it is. But the way that the candle opened, like I said, it just looks like we're good to come a little bit lower, at least into the entry area potentially. US 30 closed lovely for those of you that actually took, right? We didn't engulf to the downside. We wicked straight down. As of right now, US 30 should be in a few points of profit. Nasty Nas, like I said, we weren't able to fill, but now 1045, to me, we could really just fill this insufficiency right here and continue higher. So maybe Nas, you could take a super tight risk and just catch this continuation, right? Literally, I'm talking like 7 points, right? Just right below this insufficiency, 6 points literally. Looking to target the same high would be about a 1 to 15, right? You're risking 6 points for about 100. So to me, this could potentially be it for Nas. We don't have to come lower, so that's why I don't mind entering here with a small risk, just because in my eyes we shouldn't really come too much lower. But obviously I would look to kind of break even at the beginning of the next hour, because you can see we could potentially break down. Yeah, like it looks like we're breaking down a little bit right now. So if you want to potentially wait on Nas, you could, but in my eyes, we don't have to actually come lower than this. So this is why I'm showing you, like, we might just wick around here. So this is why being a little bit conservative might help. with SL or just waiting, right? Not chasing. So I'm just giving you algorithm fill. To me, I'm stingy. Like, to me, if I have my area marked up, for example, and let's say my box was like here, if my box is there for the most part, like, I'm not gonna take the trade unless it's like, it would have to be like a pip or two, like, of a reaction, or like a pip or two less away from my area. And then at that point, it's like, we're not always gonna get that perfect fill, but Nas definitely isn't as clean as 30. So just giving you guys the heads up if you guys are in there. I know you guys are freaks. You guys like to get into Nas, so that's cool. S&P. I don't know how you trade this shit, Antoine. For real, fam. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck? Right. But US 30, right? Drop a US 30 if you guys are in US 30. You guys should be up about like 20. What is it? 20 points, right? 15, 20 points. Right, went up about 30 points, so about a 1 to 2 on US 30. Like I said, ideally we should see this continuation towards the upside. In my eyes, if we are right, gold, I would be so annoyed if it actually just flies from here. I'd actually be annoyed. I'm not gonna hold you. it would slightly bother me, but it would be very, very typical of gold. I feel like this entry might come at the beginning of the new hourly candle, so we definitely might just have to wait on that. But in US 30 sake, if you guys took, I would say for the most part, we should really just see us, like I said, like I wouldn't want to see us kind of close around this area. Like, we could potentially wick back into this area again at the beginning of the new hourly. I wouldn't really be too surprised, but 30-minute wise, I would really want to see this candle ideally close towards the upside. Like, I would want to just see us run from here. Now, in my eyes, it would make sense to me if we're really going to continue to go higher. Because if we kind of lag around, what that means to me is maybe we only push a little bit higher into this area, we fill, and then we continue lower, right? If we don't take this high of London, then we could potentially see that happening. But as of right now, definitely a very clean reaction out of US 30. So if you guys took, I hope that you guys are just enjoying the little bit of profits that we're in right now. Goldie, like I said, is just chilling. Is there anything that you guys want me to look at in terms of currencies, crypto? I know some of you guys like the crypto. Ethereum. So Ethereum looks like it came a little bit back into that area that we were looking at yesterday afterwards. But obviously we broke down lower. So for ETH, what I could potentially see happening is us coming back, tapping this, and potentially going lower. But based off of what we're anticipating for gold, it's just like it would make sense to see crypto higher, in my opinion. So if we even dig down, yeah, it looks like we got some smaller time frame accumulation here as well on ETH. Right, in my eyes, right, we definitely were able to get, in my eyes, just like clean 5-minute wise. Right, so we have our selling climax, secondary test, and that spring, right? That selling climax, because we get that 5-minute break, right? And then right after we get that 5-minute break structure to the upside, we close below. What do? Pop back up. Staircase, staircase, staircase down. What do? We take both of those lows. And then even in terms of where we come back to, right? It's like even after this spring, notice how where do we come back and we wick to right after the spring? So it's like you're always gonna get a re-entry, right? You're always gonna get a re-entry when it comes down to potential buy scenarios. So on Ethereum, it looks like we could continue to go higher. I'd imagine BTC the same thing. Yeah, BTC looks like we're running a little bit higher already, so looks good, looks good. Yeah, Nas broke down. Oh, Nas might have actually come back to our... Yeah, so Nas is breaking down heavy right now. But I like how it's breaking down kind of fast and impulsively. So maybe we see this tap and we would have to just run. If not, to me, on the hourly wise, to me, I still would just let this hourly candle close, because it's like we're reacting right now. It looks like we could potentially melt. But at the same time, like in 6 minutes, as long as we engulf, then that's all we really need in terms of confirmation to the upside. If we don't engulf, then we probably fly, but it looks like we're coming close to our entry area. Three-minute wise, okay. 3-minute wise, this is a clean enough fill for me, so we don't actually have to come lower. So Nas, I would say, is good now for an actual, like if you wanted to position yourself. I'm going to take a small position on Nas myself right now. Just because, like I said, to me, it makes sense out of this area. So I'm going to have my stop personally just below the body of this 15-minute. It's about like 14-15 points. Be looking to target that same area. So yeah, ideally for Nas, if you wanted to position yourself now, to me, it wouldn't be necessarily a bad time. Like I said, take a little bit smaller of a risk on Nas if you're in 30. If not, I kind of like how the 15 minutes coming back down into this area. Like I said, we could still come deeper into this 15-minute candle, but on the 3-minute, like I said, I'm not. That's the one thing where I feel like a lot of the times people kind of get clapped, is because they sit there and they anticipate like these lower areas, and then price doesn't come to the lowest area, because like I don't know why we always just like, as new traders, we always want like the last down candle or the last up candle to play out like every single time right away, right? No ifs, ands, or buts. Like it literally just happens right away. And it's like when we have that type of mentality, like we start to just create a lot of unnecessary, I would say, stress on our trading when it comes down to overall. Like it doesn't need to be stressful trading, right? It really doesn't need to be stressful at all. But it only becomes stressful when you just allow it to become, right? So overall, like I said, we have this 3-minute area, but we could potentially come deeper into this 15-minute candle, which if we do, like I said, you just gotta play accordingly. Like I took a position off that 3-minute, but to me, I'm still looking to see how we tap off of this area. I would put the rest of my position on at 11, depending on how we close. I wouldn't want to see us close like how we are right now. I would want to see us kind of tap up and suck up if we were to be right. US 30 is feeling this nice. To me, like I said, this is what we want to see when we have an insufficiency. Like we want to see price kind of come down into those areas deeper, which it kind of did. So I like how 30 is feeling right now. All right, looks like we're getting a little bounce at the end of the hour there too. All right, so lovely. In terms of 30, Nas. Okay, boom. We open straight down on Nas, so potentially re-entries for Nas, or if you missed, right, we're coming deeper now. To me, this would be really as low as we should come, right, if we're gonna continue to go up for real. So you can see 15-minute, we're tapping off the open of this candle, which is like the timing of how we do this is so fractal. Like it literally is like no coincidence. So right at the open of this hourly, we're gonna push straight down in the first minute, right? Ideally, and do what we need to do in terms of algorithm to then send us to where we need to get sent potentially. But you know, then again, we'll see if we're right or if we're wrong, because you know we most definitely could still be wrong. But I like the longs still. I like the idea of longs. Gold looks like, oh my gosh, so annoying. Oh, the hourly didn't end yet. Okay, lit. I was looking at 3 minute. I was like, okay. So if the hourly didn't even end yet, god damn, yeah. So damn, I got a head bust for real. That is crazy. A 3 minute or what candle close? Yeah, that must have been a 3 minute that close. Head bust me for sure. EXY, what are you doing? You doing, man? Setting up to melt for me? Alright, so 1 minute left in this hourly candle close. I thought that we had already hourly candle close, but I was incorrect. Right, which is, it's cool, no big deal. Just playing with my emotions a little bit there. Nasty Nas. Drop a Nas if you guys took Nas. Nas is getting a nice reaction out of that 3 minute area like we talked about. Like I said, this is just the importance of seeing how we feel on the smaller time frames. To me, it's just like, yeah, we could come down here. Yeah, we could have came down here, but it's like there's no insufficiency down here, right? On the 3 minute, all of these wicks, that's healthy price action, right? Because we're wicking up and down, but slowly going up, right? So to me, this is the only thing left that we didn't kind of come back and test. So that's why it made sense, because initially if you got in, like I said, you had an 11-point stop, right? If you're in, you're up 16 points. So you're up almost a 1 to 2. Right, but let's say you were to have had a 4 or 5 point stop, you would be up like a 1 to 3, 1 to 4, right? So you really have to think about how important it is to sit here and have tighter stops, because we probably pushed down right at the beginning. We're pushing straight up. We had that buying pressure. So Nas definitely getting a cleaner reaction out of our area now, but 30 still good, looks good overall. Like I said, we got in at that insufficiency area. We had this target. Like, do you guys see how we just get boom? Like, it's like magic, right? Magic line just comes in, wick. Ideally 30 looks like it's gonna create that wick down. We shouldn't ideally push below this wick right here in my eyes on the 15 minute. So to have your stop below there would be the safest bet on 30 if you guys potentially obviously wanted to take like this re-entries right now, right at the top of the hour. So to me, that makes sense. Like I said, overall, first target, I would kind of look for up here, right, in terms of some of this insufficiency. I think we take today's high. Overall, this is what I'm looking to target, this insufficiency up here. So about a 1 to 20, right, if you got in from the insufficiency just within this area. Like I said, we're still valid. Like, you could technically still kind of get in if you missed it. And we also still look like we're going to come back a little bit into here, at least on 30. So if we come back into this insufficiency, you could potentially re-enter. But if we run, then at that point, like I said, you don't really necessarily have to chase. You know, it just doesn't make sense. So 3 minute wise, I like how we engulfed. We're coming down. We wick straight down, filling this insufficiency. So Nas, you could potentially get back into with the same type of parameters, same stop loss in the same area. Targets, obviously, for Nas would be similar to the same thing. Our first target would really be this insufficiency that we created during Tokyo, London. But overall, higher time frame, not even really higher time frame, but just easy next target would really be all of this liquidity. We have a lot of equal highs resting over here. So to me, to see us potentially get that today, we might have that happen, maybe not. But overall, I like the initial pop that we're getting from Nas. Like I said, it's feeling very nice in terms of seeing potential continuation towards the upside. Gold, please come down, please. If you're gonna go up, come down and fill me. Fill my order. Fill it, please. It's like, take it when you used to have to do this manually. Like, to get your order filled, you'd have to, like, hope that the man that is running downstairs to, like, drop the order in is fast. He's not fast, he's getting cooked. The order not getting filled. Realistically, gold might just wick down to start this hourly and just continue higher. We might not even fill this, and that would annoy me like crazy. But at least DXY would go down and Goldie would go up. So it would be nice in that aspect. But US 30 right now, dirty 30, if you took, like, look at how beautiful this shit is, right? If you took off the 100% of this IPA fill, right, and you had a 10-point stop, it's like, just look at the accuracy of that. Right at 11 o'clock, 10:55, right? We come down and we wick and we fill that perfectly. 30 points later. That is just beautiful, right? And even Nas, too, right? Just initially coming back into the wick of this body of this candle, right? Quick 20 points, right? Relatively quick without any type of drawdown. So drop an 888 in the chat, family, if you guys either made some money today or you guys learned a little bit on either the indices or the metals when it came down to overall direction, or maybe just being able to position yourself, right? Because I love to be able to see the gang eating and making money on the charts. Definitely an amazing feeling, right? But overall, like I said, I think we're good to continue towards the upside. I would look to just break even. Like, once we take this high on 30 at 805, so about another 50 points or so, you could look to break even. But overall, like I said, we have our targets, our risk reward wise, about a 1 to 30, potentially loading on US 30. 1 to 30 loading on 30. All right. And then obviously with Nasty Nas, we're looking at about a 1 to 30 to looking at that second target. First target wise, like I said, would be about a 1 to 17, right? Maybe a 1 to 15 if you were a little bit calm, you're a little humble. If you were on the humble juice, right, it would be about that. But yeah, family, in terms of overall positioning, Goldie, if you wanted to take a potential screenshot of this, it looks like we're going to approach this area. We're about 20 points away. If we can get into this area, like I said, I would want to see potentially us continue to the upside. But DXY, I don't know, DXY looks like it could really go up. So if DXY goes up, understand that gold really will just continue to drop. But if DXY just manages to fall somehow, I don't know why we really would. I guess we're fixing this ugly candle now with no wick. Did the beginning of the new 4 hour just start right now on this? Yeah, I don't know. This just looks like it's gonna fly. DXY looks like it's gonna fly on every time frame possible known to man. So careful with going long on gold just for that one reason. That's why I said just take a little bit smaller of a risk if you do take it. Because already you already missed it. Like I said, if you were really tapped in with just education and you kind of understood what you were looking for, you would have positioned yourself ideally down here in this Springer test area. Like, to me, 1913 to the high of the day, 230 pips in like 6-7 hours. Like, to me, you can't go wrong with that, family. So it's just being able to be confident to sit there and take your positions and not chase trades, right? Because this is kind of entering in the middle of a range versus being able to get in at the top of range. So Nas, if you guys are in Nas, we're up about 30 points. If you're in 30, right, 30 looks like we're coming back down to this entry area, which is cool. Like I said, 30 could kind of lag around where we're at. We just shouldn't go below this wick. So notice how we wick down here. To me, we shouldn't really wick too much lower, like I said. So this is still good in terms of 30. Don't really trip out. And plus Nas, like I said, we're walking staircase up with Nas, fairly nice. Goldie is coming into our area. So really, like I said, I would just want to see us love tap this and boop, go to the moon, right? Iffy is hilarious, holy. Yeah, so Goldie, realistically, like I said, we're looking for like just literally love tap and then boom, go. Because DXY, if DXY doesn't love tap the area and then melt from the area that it's in right now, DXY is going to absolutely and utterly fly. Right? And if it flies, that's cool, but you definitely don't want to be positioned in longs if we're flying. So we just tapped on my broker. We're tapping right now this insufficiency on the 15 minute. So I like this. I personally took a small little sum. Right, to me, I'm just gonna be playing candle closes. Like I said, I took a very, very, very tiny risk. So even if it does like drop below, I'm not really too concerned. Like if it closes kind of how I want it to, I will stack. But as of right now, I'm kind of just, like I said, scaling in very, very minuscule. Like if you normally risk like 1%, I would risk like quarter of that. So like 1/4%, or even less, right? I would sit there and just kind of, like I said, you could take multiple positions. So you could have one right here with like a 15 pip stop, or you could just take one with like a bigger stop. But to me, like I said, I don't really like having bigger stops, so I'd rather take one with like a quick 10 pip stop, right? Anticipating just a reaction off the open. And if we don't react right off the open, to me, that means we're gonna either push deeper into the body or we're gonna actually go lower overall, which to me is cool. But it's just being prepared for that and just having the awareness to know, okay, like we're actually gonna come back down to that area, and then go. So like I said, I took a small position off of this area. You don't have to. Like I said, 10 pips, can't go wrong. Just even to this initial high would be about a 1 to 10. So risk to reward wise would make sense. Like I said, if you look at it from that aspect, that's really how I look at it. I don't look at it from money or pips. Like to me, like I said, the risk to reward from the bottom already was like probably a 1 to 30 from that spring. So it's cool to just have that awareness. Gold or US 30 looks like we wicked a little bit below that area, but to me, this, like, as long as we feel this, we're good. The only thing is, in the next 5 minutes, I really wouldn't want to see us close where we're at. I would want to see us break up, but it looks like we engulfed to the downside. So what we could potentially see 30 do, like I said, if we don't get a reaction out of here, 30 probably breaks down. But we would have to like close below this low in my eyes. So IPA wise, we're still reacting to that IPA. Like we're not going lower than the IPA, but it's just we're kind of smaller time frame wise. We're probably like, if you dig into like the 15 second, 30 second, we're probably accumulating, right? But at the same time, it's just being patient. So overall, like I said, 30 in my eyes is still like, it looks like we have potential. Like I'm not gonna necessarily invalidate or say that like it's not good. I just know that we definitely are playing around a little bit more than I would like, at least, but it doesn't necessarily invalidate that. Like I said, you want to see accumulation obviously on smaller time frames. Now it looks like we're breaking up a little bit better. So, you know, it really just depends on how we kind of break down. Gold, like I said, this is exactly kind of what I would have wanted to see. It just love tap on this insufficiency. Like I'm telling you, like gold is so fractal, it's so good at filling that it's like no wick on the bottom. Like that's why I was like, damn, this is really setting up to just do, like, I hope it really just moons from here. Because realistically, by us having this fucked up candle right before, us coming back and wicking down now, we have really every reason to continue higher now. We don't really have to push lower. after this area. So like I said, it's just being able to kind of read the market. If you got in from this potential area, like I said, you could break even. You probably get hit out, but I would say, like I said, definitely just monitor how we react. What we'd want to see ideally to just validate and confirm, right? To me, 5-minute breaker structure would be nice if we close above this previous high, because we might not engulf right away. We might kind of get a couple touches off this candle, especially with the new 15-minute candle opening in 2 minutes. We probably tap this candle again in another minute, and then potentially go higher from there. But overall, I would say it would really just depend on DXY and the dollar. I'd say the dollar is really going to be dependent and dictate just everything for us. To me, it looks like we're going to take the high, if I'm being honest. I want it to go lower, right? It would take a miracle at this point, it looks like, for us to go lower. Unless this 30-minute, like, if you look at this as like kind of a 30-minute break, I don't know. I just think this IPA fell to the upside. I think personally we should have broken below this, because in my eyes, this is all the low of the day. So the fact that we didn't even break down, the fact that we filled London insufficiency and now we're going higher. What do you think about the 15-minute IPA? Which IPA? Are you talking about this one? Like up here? Is that what IPA you're referring to, my brother? Are you okay? Yeah. So to me, we could, but I just don't like how we feel. Like, I just don't like this. Like, when I say I don't like, I mean it's just like clean. I just don't like these wicks at the news. To me, these wicks is just really showing me that, all right, boom, that was that liquidity run, right? Structure maintained towards the upside, which is ideally what you would want to see in that particular scenario. So it's just ideal, right? That's how we typically just want to see things kind of play out when it comes down to just a standpoint in terms of the overall schematic of the market. So I like that DXY open straight up. Oh my fucking god, thank you. Open straight up. Let's hope we melt now. DXY would have to melt now at this point. Right. So gold pushing back into this area. So if you were in gold, to me, like I said, it's still all valid just throughout this whole 3-minute area. Like I said, nothing really became invalidated. And even 5-minute wise, we're coming into the open of this 5-minute candle now. So I still like, right? To me, I'm still personally in. I have like only 11 pip stop. So we literally came back. I'm like a pip and drawdown right now. So I'm going to take another small position, get another half a percent, or just half of my risk on. So like, I only took a 1/4% risk on the first entry. So I got another 1/4% on right now. So gold, you could re-enter. US 30, how do we close? 15-minute wise, lovely. Why does my broker look different? I feel like on the 15-minute. Right, so 15-minute wise, we came all the way back down here, which is ideally what we want to see, which is pretty, right? Pretty. So, like I said, 15-minute wise, right? We definitely came back and filled this insufficiency. Like I said, us coming all the way back down was something that wasn't, like I said, weighed out of the options of what could potentially happen in terms of just this trade. So this would be like the last, like we shouldn't really push down lower than this, family. So if you either didn't take, you missed it, or you just got hit break even, right? It's still valid, right? This is why I don't break even right away. I don't break even until we test like it at least like once or twice. And especially if like there's an hourly close or a new hourly open, like I'm gonna anticipate at the beginning of the new hourly I'm gonna get ran every single time. So if you just entered off the 100% of this IPA and you had a 10-point stop, it's like, to me, you wouldn't have even came like close really, unless you had a crazy gnarly spread. But Nas, to me, same thing. We look clean, right? What is Goldie doing? Okay, Goldie's still in area 2, so you would be good to potentially take small position off Goldie. Like I said, DXY getting a small little teensy weensy reaction, which is exactly what we would want to see out of Goldie, right? Hopefully we continue towards the upside. If not, then I'm gonna be sad because I did not take no partials on me buys. But at the same time, it is what it is. So DXY, let's pray for a melt from here. Goldie, right, obviously will continue higher if DXY melts. As of right now, like I said, just pay attention to this 3-minute, 5-minute structure. Overall, what we should see, the 15-minute close, like we should see this 15-minute punch to the upside. Like I said, we have no wick to the upside, so don't be scared right now, because ideally this candle opened exactly how we wanted it to. So this is perfect for what we look for in terms of the algorithm. So like I said, if you're positioning yourself just anywhere that you're really positioning yourself, just look for the wick, and ideally like look to place your stop like 10 to 15 pips below that wick just to be safe. Like if you're entering here, I would just have my stop below the low just to be super safe if you wanted to go about your business and not have to watch. But if you're kind of waiting for us to come deeper into this point of interest, which I know a lot of people, you guys like to be patient, to me this would be like that lowest risk. This would be like the absolute lowest risk, highest reward setup that I could see today, right, in terms of having like an 11 pip stop. But that would be like perfect world if we were to come down there and just tap that and go. But overall, like I said, it's just play price action. Don't risk anything too crazy. Like I said, if you're stacking positions, like I'd be stacking with like less than a 1% risk. Like I wouldn't even be risking more than 1% on this, because to me, like I said, DXY could absolutely fly. If it flies, gold melts through this, and to me, you probably get clapped on slippage, right? So if you got in on 30, like I said, ideally we are still should be in some profits. Nas is coming back to the entry area, so like I said, everything right now coming back to entry areas is okay. I wouldn't want to see us close below any of these. Like we shouldn't close below this 15-minute low if we're really going to continue towards the upside. So if we wick below, that's fine, but if we close below, then that's when it's invalidated. So right now, like I said, everything is still valid. Don't get scared if you got hit break even. To me, you could potentially get back in if you wanted to. If you wanted to be done for the week, that is also cool. It's Friday, you don't have to force anything. So to me, I still think everything is cool. On the flip, just looking for gold at 15-minute shot. Yeah, to me, gold for sell-offs, like I don't know if we really come back today for like a re-entry for a sell-off. I think we probably closed higher up today. Like we probably close in the middle of this range, if anything. But to me, I feel like sells would be more clear. Like I feel like if sells were to happen, sell re-entries would happen on Sunday, and we would break below this hourly low. Like, so to me, we would just continue to break from here. Like I don't think we'd really come back up to give a re-entry for sell today. I think if we were to come back up, it would be because we're reacting just out of this potential area right here. So we'd want to see us obviously continue higher on gold if dollar continues lower, which it looks like it's going a little bit lower. Nas is breaking down right now, so indices look like we potentially are just gonna go lower, right? We failed to really break above this IPA, but like I said, structure wise, wait till this 15-minute close in 8 minutes, right? As long as we don't close below in 8 minutes, we're gonna be good still in terms of 15-minute in my eyes. So like don't necessarily like trip on Nas. Like I said, this could be your potential better entry if you got hit out, right? So don't really, like I said, wild out. Just be patient, as well as understand that this is just really giving you better R&R. In my eyes, I just actually took the rest of my position because I didn't get my full position in. Because like I said, it didn't come to the 100% of the box. I'm the type of person where I like to play like the 100%. If I have a box like this, the bottom area, this is where I'm looking to really put on. This is where I'm waiting for. Like, I'm not really putting on my full position if we don't fill 100%. So now I actually just got the rest of my position on, so I'm satisfied. That's an instant, just whoop. Like the 1 minute engulfing candle, that's just beautiful. If we sit here and break that down, right? So in 2 seconds, as long as we close like this, boom, it's perfect. So this is exactly what I want to see pushed down. Like I said, it's just fought right in the algorithm, right? Nas clean, 30 looks ugly, but look at that, boom, wick down, straight down, pop up. Nas, same thing. Like, we should be gone now on the indices. So overall, like I said, we shouldn't really fuck around and find out anymore unless we're gonna go lower. But you should be in a couple points of profit on 30 and Goldie. Like I said, we need dollar to go down in order for us to see gold buys work. If DXY doesn't close, like if we don't engulf on this 15 minute, to me, I think we probably go lower. But if we engulf on the 15 minute, we could really see some shit. Could see some shit, man. So Nas definitely clean, beautiful reaction out of the bottom of this area, in terms of the 15 minute. And like I said, we gave the IPA. Actually, the IPA was on 30, but this 15 minute candle, you notice how boom, we came back, we tapped the open. It's like a lot of people, like I said, this is where people kind of get confused because they might take this entry and then break even and think that if we come back lower that now, oh my gosh, like, so this is where kind of it's manipulated in the indices where it's like you'll get hit out a couple times, but it's just because sometimes you're entering a little bit too early. So this initial entry, I wouldn't have taken this off the open just at 10:30, right? Obviously you're gonna take it, but you're gonna want to break even to me on those particular entries, because it's like when we come down into these areas, typically you want to be able to take a position where you can break even and price doesn't come back, right? So you don't want to have price kind of come back and test. Like, you want to ideally see price test a couple times and then enter in that area, right? Which is in this case what ended up happening. But Goldie, it looks like we're dropping now. Yeah, DXY looks like we're gonna fly. So Goldie, be careful with shorts. Like if you get hit out, I wouldn't really like force re-entries. I would just cool it. Like I said, that's why we took the tiny risk, because it looked like it was gonna just absolutely melt down. Hourly wise too, we could really just fill this hourly insufficiency. So we were kind of looking at 15-minute IPA, but really in reality we could just come and fill this hourly. The reason why we were looking at the 15-minute only was because I was looking kind of more at the algorithm correcting itself with us filling this wick, which if we see potentially smaller time frame accumulation on like the 1 minute, maybe 5 minute out of this area, this could be that correction, right, of us filling that insufficiency. But we could really just tap a little bit lower and then go higher. So keep an eye out for this hourly insufficiency. I feel like, Antoine, that insufficiency on the 15 minute you were talking about on DXY, if we were to fill this, that would align with that London session IPA. So this could be something that really plays out in terms of just the overall direction of the indices, right? So in terms of that, family, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up for today. Like I said, if you guys got any type of value at all, right, it was an amazing week in terms of trading. We caught a lot of amazing moves. Like I said, gold bottoms today alone was like 200 pips. We caught 30 shorts yesterday. 30 shorts were lovely. We caught a lot of indice buys and shorts this week, gold longs and shorts this week. So if you guys had any type of breakthroughs, right, drop a one-on-one to chat, and I look forward to seeing you guys. Hopefully today we're gonna have the market overview at 7 p.m. later today. We're gonna be back live on YouTube, so make sure that you guys are in the cut. And like I said, tell a friend to tell a friend if you guys enjoyed today. But I will see you guys later on today, and I hope you guys have an amazing rest of your day.